I'm always looking to infuse my wardrobe with staple pieces for the season ahead. Quince nails it with luxe essentials that feel effortless and look polished, perfect for layering and mixing. Think chic cashmere and cotton sweaters starting at just $40. Washable silk tops and classic denim pants. They're timeless styles that you'll keep coming back to. And the best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. And by working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury without the markup, and they only work with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. I just bought a beautiful black quilted bag for travel. I'm thinking airport bag for the next lacrosse tournament. You can elevate your fall wardrobe essentials with Quince. You can go to quince.com/KateCasey for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/KateCasey to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/KateCasey.
Hey there, are you sitting down? Good, because Wayfair's end-of-season sale is here, and you can shop it from your couch. It's Wayfair's Labor Day clearance, and it's on now. Right now, you can score up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair, like up to 50% off outdoor furniture and decor, and up to 70% off area rugs. Plus amazing doorbuster deals and 24-hour surprise flash deals on Wayfair home finds in every style. And get it all with fast shipping on everything right to your door. From furniture to faucets, this is your last chance of the season to score huge deals at Wayfair. Don't let the final days of summer pass you by without shopping these end-of-season savings. So don't wait. Like summer, these savings won't last. Head to wayfair.com today to score up to 70% off everything home. Celebrate your holiday weekend with can't-miss savings before they run out. Shop Wayfair's Labor Day clearance now through September 2nd at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. The years between childhood and adulthood are fragile, intense, and unforgettable. Middle and high school are where we first wrestle with who we are, who we want to be, and where we belong in a world that feels both enormous and uncertain. Friendships form like lifelines, fleeting yet profound, shaping our sense of self in ways that we don't fully understand until decades later. In this episode, I speak with director Peter Jones and producer Taylor Vracin-Harrell about their moving new documentary, Fortunate Sons, which premieres September 3rd on PBS SoCal and then on other PBS stations. This captures the extraordinary journey of the men of Los Angeles' Harvard School for Boys, class of 1974. Now, founded in 1900, Harvard School for Boys was an elite private military academy designed to groom young men for leadership. Today, it is part of what we know as Harvard Westlake. But in 1968, 72 12-year-old boys entered 7th grade amid a country in upheaval. The Beatles were reshaping culture, while the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy shook the nation. Within those walls, they navigated adolescence, identity, and friendship, laying the foundation for connections that would endure a lifetime. Childhood friends hold a unique power. They remember who you were before the world changed you. And when those bonds are rekindled years later, their reunion can be both tender and transformative. During the isolation of the COVID pandemic, these men reconnected over Zoom. The director, Peter, guided conversations that quickly went far beyond casual catch-ups. Classmates opened up about struggles with mental health, confronting not only the pain they endured, but the ways they had hurt others. They shared experiences of abuse, health challenges including Alzheimer's, discrimination, and long-harbored feelings of anger and being underestimated. Fortunate Sons is both an intimate portrait of friendship and a profound meditation on the journey of self-discovery, showing the beauty, the pain, and the lasting significance of the people who first knew you before you were you, and the courage it takes to confront the truths of a lifetime. And you're going to be able to catch it soon on PBS near you. Be prepared. This one is profound. I wept. And I mean, I wept. If this doesn't make you reach out to your friends from high school, I would be shocked. Here is my interview. Okay, first of all, Peter and Taylor, I have to tell you, I watched this last night at 9:00 at night. My husband walks into the room. I'm in a full flop sweat, sobbing. I wrote an email back to Paul. I am thoroughly gutted. This hit me so deep. I understand the connection of like a deep, meaningful, very unique educational experience. But it was so universal, just love and friendship and time. And I got to tell you, I really, really loved it. I didn't expect it to hit me the way it did. And I have to tell you, I cried so hard.
Well, as Taylor knows, me too. I still haven't watched it yet. And I've seen it maybe 40, 50 times without it choking me up because it's so deeply personal to me. But I am so grateful that it has been received with such a universal kind of an appeal because it touches on just universal emotions everyone goes through, love, loss, redemption, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, first tell me how the project came to be.
To tell the truth, when COVID happened, high school classmates started meeting on Zoom, and one of them reached out to me saying, hey, we're meeting on Zoom. Why don't you come to one of the meetings? And they said, well, we're thinking, God, would you be interested in doing a film about us and our 50th reunion, which is 4 years later in 2024. The Zoom call started in 2020. And my line to the group was, who would care about a bunch of white men as they're a more hated demographic in America right now?
Right, true.
2 years later, I apologized on the same Zoom call, a Zoom group, because I was wrong. I had my own prejudices. These guys opened their hearts to me. I think it had a lot to do with them being at home during COVID quarantine, and we're talking like we are now on Zoom, so it's pretty chill.
Yeah.
And, I feel like when I watch it, I'm like almost eavesdropping because everybody's just so natural and so real.
Well, how did it start with the group? Because I would assume, yeah, you're right. There are like 6 or 7 that kind of do it. But as the process goes on, you can see that some of them, they're holding on to some resentments or feelings that they would have to go through. So how did you convince, aside from the television or the film project, how did you get people to kind of start joining?
That was, you see the character, John Saliba character, he's my classmate and friend. He just had this enthusiasm. You got to come on the Zoom calls. You just do, and you got to come to the reunion. And he really was dogged about, we've got to get 100% attendance. Me looking for people that would be interesting subjects for the film, it turned out to be a lot of guys that I actually went to elementary school with.
Oh, wow.
For main characters that weren't on the group Zooms, but are featured in the film itself. And so that attests to long-time relationships when you're just a little tiny creature.
Well, at some points you're talking to them or reconnecting with people. And I noticed that you kind of do a selfie kind of video showing them like, look, I'm here at Santa Monica. And do you think that helped? Like if you had been in Detroit, maybe it would have been harder because when you're showing the video, they're going back in time and I don't know.
No, I totally agree because I was living right there by the beach and I showed it to a guy. I didn't know that guy actually slept on the beach that I was showing, Santa Monica Beach. Trey, and then that led to him saying, well, I spent a lot of nights on that beach because I said, well, why? Well, my parents were, he said, very argumentative. And that opened up a whole little world of, a guy acknowledging things weren't so great at home, which for a lot of the guys was the case.
Well, first I have to compliment you because you can tell immediately that you're a great listener. And you come to things, it doesn't seem like with judgment. So I would assume that was a big part of why so many probably surprisingly open up to you.
True.
Yeah, and I think Peter, part of what we've talked about, and you made the point, like some of the guys who were in the movie didn't ever come on the group calls, and some of them didn't even come to the reunion in the end. But it was that combination of this group thing is happening, but Peter was individually reaching out and making these connections. So sometimes it's hard to share in front of even digitally 20 or 30 other people. But when you're having a one-on-one conversation, and Peter would really sort of foster this environment where he would open up too, not like a normal interview where it's kind of one-sided and you're just asking
it's reciprocal.
It was reciprocal. There was a shared vulnerability because they had this shared past.
Well, with the gentleman who was a classmate who had the diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and I couldn't believe that he had invited you into his home. And men, I think, tend to be a little bit less, or they're a little bit more guarded. And especially as you age and there's all of these issues of identity. And with this such a complex topic as memory loss, what was that like to have him open up to you?
What did I tell you? He's my oldest friend in the world. And when you see those home movies, as I said, he trusted me and he wanted to get the story out about Alzheimer's because he said in 15 years, there'll be 12 million of us baby boomers who have this. And I want to show people that you can live with this. Taylor, talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I went on that trip as well back east, and we all went and filmed. It was Peter and I and our wonderful PA, Teresa. And so it was such an intimate kind of look into their lives. I mean, he literally opened up his home to us, him and his wife, and he had adult children as well. And it was the kind of thing where, whereas Peter has literally a lifelong connection to this person, I had just gotten to know him, but I still was so affected by hearing him talk about, it's pretty rare, I think, to actually hear from the person affected by that disease, trying to explain what's happening in their mind and the way that things are changing. He told this one story where there was an object where he knew what it was, but he just could not get the word to say what it was, but he knew the concept. So something where we have such a limited understanding of how the brain works, actually hearing somebody experiencing the breakdown of those functions, trying to explain what's going on, I think it was not only powerful, but it's true that he wanted to share that, knowing that there's going to be many more people affected by this disease in the coming years.
Summer's winding down, and while I like to be back in my routine, I am looking for a refresh, and that's why I've been working around my house, making slight changes that are elevating each room and outside. Wayfair has been my go-to. The girls have new pictures on their walls. Jack has new linens. I've swapped out our picture frames in the living room. We have new accessories on bookshelves, and now that Mia's cooking more, we got all new cookware. And we're thinking about getting Hayes a trampoline for the backyard to work on our aerials too. I'm telling you, all of this I have found through Wayfair. Our house style is coastal. There are infinite options that make me feel like I'm steps away from the sand. So I know that with every style that you guys like, you're going to get it, you're going to find it on Wayfair, and no matter your space or budget. So they're going to make it so easy for you to tackle your home goals with endless inspiration for every space and budget, and free and easy delivery even on the big stuff. So this is what I want you to do. Get organized, refreshed, and back to routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. I'm soaking up the last bits of summer while feeling the pull back to routine. I've been enjoying going on a ton of hikes, and it's really important to stay hydrated. Liquid IV is easy and it's convenient. You just tear, pour, and enjoy. Just one stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Staying hydrated is so important, especially in the heat, fueling up for sports, feeling yourself after a long trip or even a night out. Now, remember that delicious popsicle that you would get at a summer birthday party? Well, Liquid IV has captured that taste with the Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration Multiplier. It's going to remind you of that popsicle. That nostalgic vanilla flavor with notes of candied orange can help you feel hydrated better than water alone. Again, grab your water, tear, pour, and enjoy, and stay hydrated this summer. Visit liquidiv.com, and I want you to use the code Kate Casey at checkout for 20% off your first order. Again, visit liquidiv.com and use code Kate Casey at checkout for 20% off your first order. Another story that touched me was Martin's. He's the only Black student. And he's honest about it. Like, I'm really angry about what happened to me. And it seemed like everyone just sat, and maybe because it was the beauty of COVID in some ways, is that people had no choice but to sit in it and to listen.
Well, that's true. And he had no choice because I wasn't going to give up. It took me about a year and a half just to get him to be recorded on Zoom calls. And Taylor witnessed those because they were usually done in the office. And he had a lot of anger towards the class. First time I spoke to him, he said, "I don't remember who you are, and I hated all those people." Turned out after talking many, many times, he agreed to be interviewed. And it turns out that he's become one of my best friends.
Oh, I love it.
He called in the middle of an interview this morning. I said, "See, look, Martin, right, Taylor?"
Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten to know him too. That's the thing, this is Peter's classmates, but I've gotten to know them all in this really unique way where outside of a documentary filmmaking capacity, why would I have any reason to interact with this group of like older men from this really particular demographic? But it's one of the wonderful things about filmmaking is that you get to form these relationships. And now it's like, I get to hang out with the guys too. Like we're all just hanging out, having fun. Like the way they joke around with each other is so funny to watch and be a part of. So great to get to know them.
Well, it's also beautiful because your early friends are your witness to life. And sometimes if you can have an adult friend and you can try to explain something, but the people who knew you when you were a kid have a better sense of who you are because of where you've come. And I think when you watch it, you would have to think about your own experiences as a young person. And I think as you're watching the stories unfold, you're also reflecting on your own evolution, which is kind of profound.
It still is. I mean, when you just saw, even though most of the guys did not stay in touch, some people, they think 50 years of love and friendship. Well, no, COVID came along and we got to know each other in those 4 years between the COVID quarantine and our 50th reunion. And that's when a new kind of rapport was established. But there was that foundation of the 6 years we spent at Harvard School that created exactly what you just said, this common shared experience where there's a built-in understanding and a shorthand that comes back even all those years later, and a bond that can't be duplicated.
Also, it is so true that we are often a product of our times, obviously our own family of origin and our culture, but a product of our times. So in talking to a lot of them, their views on their own marriages, their own relationships with their parents, the way they looked at the way that they were parented and thus how they parent. What did you come away with about that period of time in which you lived and how all of you look at the world in a very specific way?
I wanted the movie to start with a lot of people look back at life with this kind of wisdom that you don't have when you're 12 years old. So it was important for me to say, look at this year, 1968, where you had assassinations, you had, then Woodstock comes along. And it was a very tumultuous time, but we're also just 12-year-old boys who are going to this place where we have to wear military outfits. And that was the world to us. Now, in retrospect, we realize how profoundly the nation was going through Watergate, the Vietnam War. All of that was happening during those 6 years. But it was in subsequent years as we mature and become more aware of the world at large. Those were 6 really dramatic years for the entire country and world.
By the way, those uniforms, none of them fit you guys. I don't know who was in charge of the uniforms. You look like 6-year-old kids wearing like older man's clothes.
And we had to get them there's one place, Desmond's in Los Angeles on Wilshire Boulevard.
Of course. And it's only one place. And it's like one lady who works there. And she's only got hours 3 days a week. Oh, trust me, I understand this.
Okay. Desmond's, we all had to. And I like hearing that because the guys, there's one guy, Franklin Reitz, who is
very tall. Yeah.
You see him, you're right. His jacket comes like to here. Like Fred Astaire. I mean, it's crazy.
Are you surprised at the ones that worked in a certain profession, or does it some of it as you got to know them as older men, or I guess would be reconnected to them as older men? A lot of the times were you thinking, okay, well that tracks, like that makes sense for who they were? Yes.
Take our valedictorian Jonathan Greenberg, who been into social justice his entire life.
Amazing.
He was like that. You know what? He created something at Harvard School our junior year called Ethics Day.
Wow.
This 17-year-old kid goes to John Amir, the head of the upper school, and says, is it okay if I organize an ethics day where each period we talk about a specific topic around ethics? Who does that? Well, Jonathan Greenberg, who's going to start his own organization up at the University of San Francisco dedicated to teaching peace and, social justice around the world.
Talk about Patrick, because I think that story is amazing too.
Yes, Patrick McCabe, he was a basketball player and a tough guy, and he understood because he went to a public school. His dad put him in Harvard School because he had discipline issues at the public school, and he thought a military school would straighten him out.
Figure it all out, yeah.
It happens that the first year Pat joins is when they got rid of the military, so that's kind of funny. But Pat had a career in sports. He was an agent and he was a marketing guy, hated it, and got into education and became a headmaster at a new elementary school that he started, and did that for 10 years. And now he runs a nonprofit. He's going to be honored in October at a place called the Jonathan Club down at Santa Monica Beach for his work in his community organizing and his social justice work. They're going to have a fundraiser honoring my classmate, Pat McCabe.
Wow.
And he found, Amanda Gorman was just this little kid. He said she was on the jungle gym. And he said, God, if a gust of wind would blow, I'd be afraid she was going to get blown off because she was so tiny. Mm-hmm. And he did not want to be identified as the guy who, found her. It was a bunch of teachers who saw that. He wanted to really make it clear to me, I don't want to be like this white savior guy.
Sure.
It was very important for him that, he just, and others saw she was something special.
Because that's who he is.
It's just who he is.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, Cameron, he talked a lot about his family. And, as older men, when you heard him talk about that, did a part of you go, yeah, something that sounds right? Like I always knew. And I asked that because I find as we get older and people start opening up more about their own families, when you're young, you feel like every family's got it all together. And then as you get older and people kind of peel back the layers, sometimes it's like, now that you say it, I think that I did think something was a little weird, or I didn't want to go over to your house, or that's why you came over to my house more often.
Well, you were onto something, Katie, because the Farrers lived across the street from the Joneses.
Did they really?
They lived across the street, and you knew when Connie Farrer was pulling into the parking garage, she would usually hit, back then garbage cans were tin cans, and you'd hear this terrible noise, oh, Connie's home, because she would be driving drunk. Mm-hmm. We knew then that there was an issue, and you're very right, because we were also the neighbors. So this was something, but it was remarkable that he was so conscious about not wanting to have that kind of a life for his children, and he and his wife Karen both we're not going to repeat what was done to them.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really profound.
Martha listens to her favorite band all the time. In the car, gym, even sleeping. So when they finally went on tour, Martha bundled her flight and hotel on Expedia to see them live. She saved so much, she got a seat close enough to actually see and hear them. Sort of. You were made to scream from the front row. We were made to quietly save you more. Expedia, made to travel. Savings vary and subject to availability.
How hard is it to kill a planet? Maybe all it takes is a little drilling, some mining, and a whole lot of carbon pumped into the atmosphere. When you see what's left, it starts to look like a crime scene.
Are we really safe? Is our water safe? You destroyed our tap.
And crimes like that, they don't just happen.
We call things accidents. There is no accident. This was 100% preventable.
They're the result of choices by people. Ruthless oil tycoons, corrupt politicians, even organized crime. These are the stories we need to be telling about our changing planet. Stories of scams, murders, and cover-ups that are about us and the things we're doing to either protect the Earth or destroy it. Follow Lawless Planet on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to new episodes of Lawless Planet early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Were there experiences that you had on those Zooms, in the quiet of the Zoom, if you will, where some of the men who spoke about mental health issues or abuse or anything like that, that you thought, this is such a surprise to me. I never saw this coming.
Yes. Although I have to say that they didn't see a lot coming because they opened me up.
Okay.
I had issues. Taylor's aware of that. I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic and have dealt with depression in my life. Have gotten help, and I am so grateful for that. And I think the guys were they didn't know those specifics until it would come up, but they understood that I understood these darker parts of real life. So in a way, it just facilitated a deeper connection, especially my classmate, Christopher Hormel, whose great-grandfather was the guy who created Hormel and Spam and all that. When he said at the end of the little segment on him, it's at the very end where he watched as a child his father abuse his mother. But only at the end did I say, well, when he died, did you feel a little bit of relief? And he said, well, yes, because he would hurt me. And that's what the reveal is, that he was physically abused too. That the way that unfolded in him telling me at the end that happened to him too.
There's something so special about, again, as you get older and you sort of release these concerns of judgment. And, you're looking at all your classmates, and to others, they may look as older men, but you probably look at each other as like still 12-year-olds, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, here's the rest of the world during COVID who felt so isolated and alone. And somehow you created this space where everyone is like opening up. It's like this lotus, right? They're just in a safe space, and then they can see in others. Maybe they felt seen for the first time in some ways. When you look back at that, you must have enormous gratitude that when the rest of the world was falling apart, in some ways you were falling together.
I even knew then how grateful I was to have this opportunity because of Zoom technology. And because of COVID, literally people couldn't leave their homes. And here we were connecting in a way we didn't connect when we were three-dimensionally with one another for 6 years. And we had grown up and we didn't have to compete with one another. it was a profound convergence that COVID happened when it did, with our reunion 4 years in the future. And Kayla and I kept talking about always the passage of time. This movie is about increments of time, our childhoods, the 4 years before the reunion, right? And then things happen during those 4 years.
Yeah. Well, just make me feel better. I envision you guys just texting and emailing and calling. Has this really bonded you all in a way that has surprised you?
Well, me especially, Kate, because I'm the guy who said what he said to the group. And yes, there are, especially my relationship to Martin Montague. We talk every day. I don't have that relationship with anybody else. Taylor knows it because, when the phone rings, it's Martin, and he would say hi to her, or we had a production assistant that he would say hi to. I'm very grateful for that, and he even acknowledges that I'm also gay, and we know he's Black, but he would kind of say, well, guys like you and me, and I don't feel as different or other as I know he did, because I'm a white privileged guy. But he does talk about us like we're comrades in arms, because he thinks that I'm part of a marginalized community and group, which many are. I don't feel that way.
What is your hope that people take away from this?
Oh, you can answer this one, Taylor.
I mean, it's kind of interesting because we talk about how this story is, there's no one main character, right? Like it's very much an anthology. It's the story of a class. And so different stories might resonate with different people depending on what they're bringing in from their own life experiences. But I think if people realize that if you can take that leap to reach out and to share a truth and to kind of gently get over yourself enough to be real, you can actually find a depth of connection and meaning that otherwise just wouldn't be there. So if people can take the opportunity to reach out and genuinely connect and be honest, not only with each other, but with themselves about what their lives are and what they need, I think they can find great healing.
Taylor had the ability, just indispensable, because here she's dealing with a bunch of guys that were all born in 1956.
Right.
And she was our kind of like, is this interesting? Are people going to care about this? And pretty much always she was able to tune in to what, again, universal qualities, where it wasn't so much an age thing, it was a humanity thing. And you were remarkable, and they trusted you, and they provided you with photographs and home movies. And because of the trust she built with them, the movie is the movie because of a lot of the trust they had in Taylor.
I could see it. Well, where can people watch this most beautiful documentary?
Well, the film is going to be broadcast on PBS SoCal on September 3rd at 8 p.m. And if you go to pbs.org and search up Fortunate Sons, you can find info about additional airings that might be happening across the country, other ways to watch it on there. And then we're also launching an impact campaign. So we're doing partnerships with schools, nonprofits, community groups, where you can actually contact us to put on a community screening and have a conversation element afterward to keep having the types of conversations like we've had today surrounding the film and the topics that we talk about there. So if you check out our website, which is fortunate-sons.com, you can find all the info there. We're also on social media at Fortunate Sons Movie on Instagram, Facebook, all the major platforms. So check it out there. And there's a lot more coming. We're just getting started with distribution.
Well, I'm hoping that for each person that watches this, that it propels them to contact one or two people from high school.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? Well, I just thought it was so well done. And again, I cried my entire face off.
I get it.
Yeah.
Hopefully a bit of a good cry, a good cathartic cry.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my fantastic guests, Peter and Taylor, and remind you to make sure that you click subscribe on whatever platform that you are listening to this podcast. And please leave a 5-star review. Also, make sure that you check out my bonus episodes on Apple Podcast and Patreon at patreon.com/KKC. You can also get my What to Watch list by going to katecasey.substack.com and subscribing. And then make sure you follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KKCCA, TikTok, it's KKC, and Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at @KKC. Check back tomorrow for an all-new episode.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredeliaQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.